My next guest stresses the fact that self-esteem is not self-taught and is in fact built in the community and is working to tackle the building of low self-esteem in marginalized groups. Dr. Donna Oriolo is a sex and relationship therapist in Washington, D.C. who focuses on mental and sexual health for Black women. Dr. Donna, thanks so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I am great. How are you?
I cannot complain. Happy to talk to you today. And I want to start with, what is self-esteem? And you say that it's built in the community. What does it have to do with our ultimate mental health and the supremacy culture?
Well, honestly, self-esteem is quite simply exactly how you feel about yourself. I think that we often get it confused and we're thinking about self-knowledge or even self-love, but self-esteem is how you feel about you at your core, the you that you are when you are alone, the you that you are when you're with friends and with family. And it has everything to do with supremacy culture because some of us have been taught that we should not feel great about who we are because we're less than, because we're women, because we're people of color, because we're Black, because we have dark skin, because we have kinky hair.
And
just a multitude of ways that we don't have access
and
or the same access.
I love that you bring that up because that's some things that are taught way before we're even born. I've heard talks in my own community about the skin tone, the skin texture, saying good hair versus bad hair. And all of these things are so innate in us. Sometimes we continue it on until someone breaks the cycle, the toxic cycle. So I love you talking about the community. So why is the community or the village so important for building the self-esteem? Is it just changing the narrative?
Part of it is changing the narrative, but the other piece is you never gave your self-esteem to yourself. What you did was you learned from the people who are around you. You saw how they treated themselves and you saw how they treated you. Sometimes they're treating lighter skinned siblings better. Sometimes they're treating those who are skinnier better. We're treating people better or worse based off what they look like. And you learn where your place is in life, right? So by the time a Black girl reaches the age of 6, she already knows the value of having a certain skin tone and a certain hair texture. So these things are already running in your mind and they just grow with us as we grow up. So you're using this as the basis for your friendships, for your romantic relationships, for the way that you interact with your family and the way you show up at work. Because we are already thinking about who we are and what people have said that we have to offer. So we continually thinking about our value to the people around us. And so many of us, we want to prove that we have good value to those folk.
I love that. I love that. And of course, we always stress about the importance of therapy at some point in your life, and it's never too late. What are the ways that we can build the self-esteem in and outside of the therapy room? Because sometimes not everything can be solved within therapy.
Honestly, one of my favorite things to say is number one, you need your tribe. You need to find your people. So I often tell people there are so many groups on various apps like Facebook, and you can find your group. I have started a group for Black women just so that we can have these conversations, right? It's right there on Facebook. Another way to begin to do that work is sometimes if we can't get into therapy, books can help, right? So if you're wanting to work on issues around colorism and texturism, I often recommend my book, Cocoa Butter and Hair Grease, A Self-Love Journey Through Hair and Skin. And it is simply about moving through the conversation, unpacking all that you can unpack. But I also don't recommend doing the book by yourself. I think that you need a community, other people who can go through it with you so that you're not doing it by yourself. And the other piece is actually to raise your emotional intelligence. And one of the easiest ways to do that is simply by having a self-esteem chart or, a feelings chart. And a feelings chart would be made for you to simply get in touch with how you're feeling so that you are better equipped on communicating how you're feeling, knowing what's going on for you, where it shows up in your body, and then being able to communicate to others. That's top-notch stuff right there. And it helps you to begin to build how you're feeling and know where the origins come from.
All of this is top-notch information. I'm so sorry we don't have more time with you, Dr. Donna, but how can viewers follow you and get connected to some of those resources you mentioned?
I definitely have 10 free tips for self-esteem, and they can go ahead and grab it off my website. Follow me on social media, and you will have access to all those things. Absolutely.
Well, I think this should be the top of everybody's resolutions list. Thank you so much, Dr. Donna. We appreciate it and hope to have you back very soon.
Thank you for having me.